Hello, readers and writers. I'm MJ. It's Saturday. It's time for pop up productivity sprints. All right, so I need to get some edits done for Burke so I can get it ready to go to the beta readers. I was planning on getting some writing done a little bit earlier in the day, but I've been working on some other things. So I asked last night on Threads if y'all think I should go live today, and it was unanimously a yes. So here I am, which is fantastic because it also is going to really help me to focus to get these last bit of edits done. So as always, let me know what you are working on, or if you're working on, or if you're just coming to hang out. All of it is very muchly appreciated. Today is the first day of fall, so happy fall to everyone. And hello and welcome. Things are good here. I just need to focus and finish doing some edits on a book. So I decided to pop in on YouTube and do some sprints with y'all. I'm glad that you could make it. I do have earphones in today for the noise canceling effect. Football is back in season, and the people that live around me really enjoy it, which makes it very hard to concentrate. Oh, a live book haul video. Nice. Yeah, that that would, book haul videos definitely require a lot of like preparation to get everything ready, but then also after the fact. But doing it live, that's actually fantastic. I never thought of that. I need to come watch your channel, that's for sure. Because that sounds like it would be very fantastic to watch. I feel like I'm just kind of, I don't know, trying to get my brain connected so that I can get some work done. Because it's, I don't know, I'm just not quite focused in. But I say let's do it. I've got my water bottle here, which you can't see. There we go. Got my water bottle, got my laptop ready to go. So let's pull up a timer. I'm thinking let's start with like a 20-minute sprint. Nothing too short or too long. See how it goes from there. We'll probably end up going to a lot longer sprints. Because I got a fair bit of work I need to get done today. There we go. Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you for speaking about Lucas. That makes me very excited. Yeah, it should hopefully be up at your channel, right? So that I can go back and watch the replay of it. Because I know I believe we're on different ends of the world, so I might have to watch a little bit more on replays because I know when you watch me sometimes it's pretty late your way. But that's fantastic and gives me all sorts of warm and fuzzies, I'm not going to lie. This week I had my science fiction book, The Immortal Part of Myself, made it to almost the top 50 on Amazon, and it's made me very excited, but at the same time it peaked at 56. I was like, no, I was so close. But it was still pretty cool. 56 is still pretty awesome. So yeah, that would be fantastic. So I can find the video, but it should just be on your channel too. So I'll go look for it there. But yeah, I'm excited to go back and rewatch it. So yeah, it's like one of these bittersweet moments because at one point I'm like so excited because 56 is like amazing, but at the same time it was just so short. of being in the top 50. But no, I'm definitely very excited. And I mean, this is for my book that has been out for, I mean, it's not even, this like my second book that I wrote. And to see it peaking like that is fantastic. So I am kind of hoping I can get Lucas to peak next month because Phoenix is coming out in November. So it would be great. Um, and what I'm working on now is the third book, Burke. I've got to get these edits finished up so I can do the edits for Phoenix. Um, all right, so let's go ahead and get started on our first sprint. Welcome back. Sometimes I think these sprints work so well for me just because it makes me actually sit and focus on my computer. And then once I'm in there, I don't really want to stop. So I appreciate y'all being with me here today while I am working on this story. And hopefully they are being as productive for you as well. Um, I would love to know what you are working on. Um, I will say I did finish editing a chapter during that sprint, so that's fantastic. I had already started it and stopped in the middle of it. So it was great to get that finished. Yeah, sprints are fantastic. Like whoever thought of the concept of them is a genius because they have helped me just focus in so much and just kind of get started. Like, and once I get started, I'm usually pretty good to go. But then I also like pace myself because, we work and then we just take a break and kind of like, um, you know, hashed out, talk together, and then we going back to focusing, and it's so great for your brain. Um, I'm glad you got your books all put away. That is fantastic. Serpents of Wings of Night. I believe I've heard of that. I'm pretty sure I can picture the cover in my head. How are you liking it so far? I would be interested. I don't entirely know what it's about. I just think I've seen it all over like Instagram and that. Um, I do think for our next sprint, I'm going to go a little bit longer and do 45 minutes. Um, I don't think I can go past 45 minutes. It doesn't really work well, but 45 minutes is a pretty good time frame for me when I'm very focused on a project. Um, Let me just get that pulled up. Okay. Um, it's a solid romantic with non-sparkling vampires. I didn't actually know it was about vampires, so that's pretty cool. Um, that but I'm not surprised it was it's a romantasy. Um I was pretty sure it was. I actually have a book that I got that is supposed to be a cozy fantasy. I may grab it on the next break when I get up to stretch. Um, but at the same time, it has like a cat of nine tails on it, and I'm just like, okay, so the description of this book is it's super like cozy fantasy, but then there's like toys on the cover, and maybe I'm just misrepresenting it, but I was like, this isn't matching up in my head. So I think I'm gonna give it a try because it sounds really cool. But if it gets a little too spicy, I might have to put it down. Um, okay. I didn't know it was part of a series. Um, I wonder if book two just released and that's why I've been seeing it a lot more lately. But speaking of sparkling vampires, I have seen Twilight making a comeback, and I don't know how I feel about that because I adored Twilight back in the day and will still just put on some of the movies when I want to escape. And I actually did a reread of Twilight, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. But it is also the most toxic relationship ever. So it's interesting that it's making like a comeback that I'm starting to see it all over the place. Fantastic. Um, so that I'm going to assume means that you are a fan as well. There's just something about it. So I was reading it. It was really, really popular when I was getting my undergrad, and I majored in psychology, but my minor was in English. And so I was, got to read books for fun, as I say. And we are trying to like just explain to our English professors why we could acknowledge that Twilight was not the best writing, but why it was such a great read. And just to kind of like escape. Like not everything has to be perfect. Um oh, you've never read any of them. Okay, well, um I will be interested in what you think. Um it's I don't know. I think sometimes just we just need that escapism. But then I'm also reading this writing book called Story Genius, and it says it's not about the quality of the writing. It's about um it's about the story that gets told. And so maybe that's why. Maybe it's because it just had the story, even though the writing itself wasn't fantastic. Um yeah, I think it was just one of those things that just came at that time and it just blew up. Um, and I'm not entirely sure why either. But and it was like one of the first ones, if I remember. Like after that, then we started to get a little bit more like YA dystopian that kind of blew up. Uh the I can't remember any of the names off the top of my head. Veronica Roth series, Hunger Games was a little bit later. But it seems like Twilight was like one of the first, which is funny because it's like not dystopian and the rest of them pretty much are. But I don't know. I was I was a fan. I will not tell you how many times I reread the books back in the day. Um so but all right, let's go ahead and get started on our next sprint and I will see you back here in 45 minutes. All right, we're back. Did I almost miss the end of the timer? Yes, yes, I absolutely did. But that's just because I'm so engrossed in the story. So, um, things are going very well on my end. I would love to know how your reading, or whatever other project you're working on is going. I finished another chapter within that 45 minutes and am on my way of doing another one. I'm doing pretty good. I only have about 4 chapters left to finish. So I'm thinking our next sprint will actually be a 30-minute sprint, and then we'll see where we are at the end of the 30 minutes. I'm actually pretty happy it's going so well, because we've only been streaming for an hour, a little over an hour, but still. Managed a couple of chapters is getting bloody. Okay, I'm sorry, but bloody. I'm not sorry, but bloody in a romantasy is fantastic. Those are my kind of romantasies. So the big question is are you enjoying it? I do feel like I'm smashing it. I'm so excited because I was a little worried about I was a little worried, but coming back to what I had written, it isn't bad. So I'm only mostly having to do minor edits, nothing big structurally so far. So that's pretty fantastic. We'll see after my beta readers get done with it, but so far it's going very well. Which is the best kind of edits. I actually really prefer editing than just the like having that blank page and having to put the writing down. And that first filling in the pages is always so hard for me. But coming back and just like making it better, that tends to be easier. The romance is very much on the back burner with other things going on. Feels a little bit like Hunger Games with vampires in some ways. Okay, you actually have me intrigued now. I like when romance is on the back burner. I know, not normal or not typical. Let's put it that way. But Hunger Games with vampires, I mean that if that was the tagline of a book alone, I think I would pick it up. So I may have to actually read this. Um, fantastic. On top of the million of other books on my TBR, before we get in, we did another trip to the bookstore this weekend. My kid has finally fallen in love with reading, a very specific genre that I can't, it has a name, I can't pronounce it, but it's basically Chinese Mel romance. Um, and they are hooked. And they're 19 years old. So they've gone from really only reading books if they had like audiobooks that they could listen to while they were reading because they have ADHD and autism as well, to like smashing out these like 400 or 500 page books because they just enjoy them so much. So we did another trip to the bookstore, and while we were there I picked up 3 new books for myself. So on top of everything else I have to read, I now have Compound Fracture, which is Andrew Joseph White's newest book. It is YA, which I don't typically read, but I make exceptions for like trans autistic authors, which he is. Also, he writes horror, which I don't typically read, but I've read his first 2 books and they're fantastic. So I'm really excited to pick it up. And then I got Story Genius, which is a book that I was told was a fantastic writer resource. I've read about 60 pages of it so far, and the writer very much has a literary background, so like I respect the advice, but she keeps talking about like neurology, and my master's is in developmental psychology, where I actually did a lot of focus on neuropsychology and how she is like talking about how the brain works is driving me nuts because it's like so oversimplified that I just want to go into the book and correct what she's saying. Even when it's not wrong, it's so simplified that it's getting on my nerves. And then the third book I picked up is called Our Moon, and it's actually a nonfiction book about the moon. So that's kind of just pleasure reading, but also potentially some resources for future writing. So I had a pretty good book haul. So it's a form of yearly competition. The main POV character is the only human taking part as the adopted daughter of the current ruling vampire. Fantastic. That's actually, and it sounds like such a great fall read. So yeah, I might have to pick that up. Oh, cool. I mean, it just came out. It's fantastic you've already read it, and I'm glad to hear that it was good. How scary is it in relation to, or gory, I guess, because his first book, Hell Followed With Us, was not scary as much as it was just kind of gross. And then his second book, The Spirit Bears Its Teeth, there's definitely some horror in there, but it was more, at least I felt it was less graphic. And so I could just kind of like scale it in my brain so I didn't get like overwhelmed. So I'm hoping the third book is more like Spirit Bears Its Teeth, because that is definitely one of my favorite books. I'm going to go ahead and actually just get the next timer pulled up. There we go. It's the least graphic. That's fantastic to hear. Do you read oh, how can I not remember his name? So I believe on the exact same day that Compound Fracture came out, Celestial Monsters came out by the author of Cemetery Boys, who I know his name, but for some reason I'm not pulling it up in my head. Have you read that series by chance? So I ended up sort of pre-ordering a copy of a signed edition of that one, which is hopefully getting mailed out soon. So I'm very excited about that one. Also, yes, Hayden Thomas. Thank you. Sometimes my brain works that way. It's not very good with names, and then I feel like an idiot because names are so very important. But yes, Aiden Thomas. So the second book in that series, that's again another one that I do read YA, just because YA tends to have so much more trans and autistic rep. That is usually why I will pick up YA books, because it's just not enough in adult rep, which I guess is why I write it, because I want to see more of it in adult. But it's still they're still really good books. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear Celestial Monsters lived up to the hype. That is fantastic. That was one I will hopefully pick up soon as well. I haven't actually received my copy yet. I went to pick it up in the bookstore like 2 days before it released and realized it wasn't actually out yet. And then saw that Aiden Thomas did sign copies through a local indie bookstore. And so I ordered it from them, but they were slammed. And I was one of the last orders. So I just now got my like UPS shipment notification. So I'm sure it will be coming pretty soon. And once I knew that like I was ordering it, I knew I wasn't going to get it for a little bit because indie bookstores are pretty overwhelmed, and I was totally fine with that for a signed copy. But I'm still really excited to get it. So, yeah, Cemetery Boys too. I'm very excited for that. So, again, this is why I read YA rep. because Cemetery Boys is one of the first books I read with like actual like binder representation in it. And it was like, even though I am a grown adult, I transitioned when I was older. And to see like to see that relatable rep was, you know, very fantastic. Um, even though it was in, I don't remember how old the kid is, but like a 16-year-old boy. So, but still pretty fantastic. All right. It is exciting talking books. But let's go ahead and get started with our next 30-minute sprint. And I will see you all back here shortly. Hello and welcome back. Things are going very well on my end. Hopefully they are on yours as well. I do think we're going to do one more 15-minute sprint, and that's going to be the last one of the day. I think that will allow me to finish, but if not, I still need to get to an exorbitantly long to-do list, um, including dyeing my hair, in case you can't tell. Let me see, what one should we do? I think we'll go out with the nice bright pink one. Um, I forgot to show. I brought the book, or I picked up the book that is supposed to be a cozy. There we go. A nice cozy fantasy, but then has, like, I don't know if you can see that, like, that does not look like cozy fantasy symbolism to me. So I don't know. I don't know if you've heard of dating dismemberment. Um, but it's a monster rom-com by A.L. Brody, and it's supposed to be full of camp humor and camp murder. Um, so we'll see if it is spice or really more cozy fantasy when I pick it up. But managed another couple of chapters. It's fascinating. Um, yeah, I'm absolutely intrigued by this book now. So I'm gonna have to go see if the library has it so I can add it to my list, because I can't buy any more books at all. Yeah, I hadn't heard of it either until the publisher actually sent it to me, and um but yeah, it, like, I don't always like go for these kind of books, but it really, like, looking at it, it seems like it's going to just be a cute little kind of like the bookstore. Oh my gosh, coffee and oh, how could I not remember that title? Anyways, a cute little cozy fantasy. Um, I do not actually have Kindle Unlimited. I don't read enough Kindle Unlimited to make it worth mine, but also I kind of would rather just buy it either on, like, buy it from the author or check it out from the library, because it pays the authors more money. Now, it's not always the same with traditional published books as it is with indie published books, but that's why I don't have Kindle Unlimited. That, and since I don't read a lot of romance, that tends to be what does really well on Kindle Unlimited. I have a thought about getting Kobo Plus, but I never seem to be at a lack of having books to read. And so it doesn't seem like I necessarily need to have a subscription on top of it. So, um, yeah, that makes sense. And that's another really good reason for authors to have their books on KU, is because I think a lot of people do that. I know I ended up taking mine off for two reasons. One, because what I write really didn't do very well on KU, but also for indie published, again, traditional publishing is a whole different scenario. But with indie publishing, they're really strict about what you can do with your own book if it's on KU. Like, you can't even send out copies to people once it's past, like, the ARC phase. And it's just it's too much for me. But that, and I always am trying to push people to Kobo Plus, because there aren't those restrictions, and then you can also use the audiobooks, which I know KU has some audiobooks, but Kobo Plus, pretty much you do the audiobook service and all of the audiobooks are on there. But again, I just, by the time I buy the indie books or the books, it just ends up being I have way too much to read anyways. So, um, yeah, it's really hard on the author side, and it's worth it for some authors for sure. It really depends on what they write. But then also I heard that the costs are getting even lower. Like when I had Neurodiverse on KU, that was the last book I put on KU, and I would have people read it through, and I got like 10 cents for them reading the entire book, and it's just really low, and I've heard it's gotten even worse, so I don't understand how it can pay out even less than it was doing before, honestly. Um, it's it's sad, but Amazon is still one of the best places to get engagement, and so not everyone can really take their books off of it. So, well, in general, but specifically for KU, because they do get, hundreds of thousands of pages read every month. So, um, but that was not the case with me. So it was pretty easy decision for me to publish wide. But I will go see. Oh, it already started. I will go see if my library has it. I'll start there, and if nothing else, I'll add it. Wow, can't seem to get this to just stay still. If not, I'll add it to BookBub, and get it when it comes out on a nice bargain deal. Um, uh, Kobo's cool. I really like Kobo as a general thing. I like their readers. Although that's not what I use now. I use a book bot BOOX books BOOX. I now it's a books mini tab C is what I use for my e-reader, just because you can use every application on it because it's actually an e-ink tablet. But before that, I had a Kobo, and it was so much better than a Kindle. Just this hardware to read off of. Um, U.S. libraries are hit or miss, really, depending on where you live. But there are digital services that really help specifically indie authors. So I have my books on Hoopla, and I don't know if that's available in the UK or not. But as an author, I I get at least a good handful of borrows from Hoopla every single month, with between my audiobooks and my ebooks. And I like knowing that people can access them without having to pay for them. So it kind of gives, like, it's nice because readers can get it for free, and then I still kind of get some financial repercussions from it. But I don't know again how much of that is a US thing. I will say I know not every US library does use it, specifically because there's so much restrictions that are trying to get put in place to restrict books here. And from what I've heard, the UK is kind of similar in that regards, unfortunately. All right, let's go ahead and get started in our last sprints. And then I'll see you back here in 15 minutes. All right, welcome back. I still have some admin stuff to do, but I am done with edits. This has been a fantastic sprint and definitely has helped me to get done what I need to do. So thank you for that. Um, borrow box, okay. Um, access through Libby. Libby, yeah, that Libby's what we use too, but I'm guessing they found a way to branch out into the UK, which is fantastic. The problem or the difficulty with Libby is that not every library like has access to the same material. Um, so technically, my books are on Libby, but people didn't have to request the library to buy a library copy, and um, but it's still good. Um, yeah. Um, I have the same problem. There's so many good books that I want to read, and it's just easier. I'll pick it up because then I don't have to worry about due dates and such. But read what you want challenges are fantastic. I probably need to do another one, but I went so long without buying books that now that we moved, I kind of gave me permission to buy some. And that permission is over for a bit, because I just don't need any more. But it was kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie to actually pick some more up. So yeah, yay for edits. Yay for edits being finished. It's just the best feeling ever. I don't think there's anything that tops finishing a draft of a story. As much as I love a story, actually getting to the point where yes, I finished that round, it's so fantastic. Um, but yeah, that's kind of why I like Hoopla better, and I'm guessing Hoopla is not available in the UK. But I'll go check there first because if it's on the Hoopla library, then anyone can borrow it. And then there's just like you have a max number of books or audio or things you can borrow, except movies and all sorts of stuff on there. And then the library doesn't get charged too much. So they like kind of know what to expect. But then also you as a user, if it's on Hoopla, then you can borrow it without having to like go request the library, buy a copy. And but like you said, not every library, even in the US, uses it. So I imagine even if it is available in the UK, not everyone uses it there also. Um, yeah, I did 100 last year. It lasted for a while. Um, but then even after I finished, I didn't really buy books because I was prepping for moving. And so I was busy like unhauling and not bringing in more. So I kept the ban, unless it was like an ebook, I kept it the like my buying ban going on longer, well past the 100 mark. I don't know if I'm going to participate in it this year. I might. I'm not sure. Even though I don't plan on buying any more books, it is more just like psychological. I don't know. I'm gonna think about it. Doing 100 last year was kind of cool, and if I could do that again this year, that would be kind of fantastic, honestly. So I'm gonna think about it. Um, because it should be starting soon. I think like the official one. I have to go check it out. Anyways, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. I okay, that's good. Yeah, that'll work. Could do like a modified version of that. Not that I really need to buy anymore. I did get new books, but I went through the library to get them. But yeah, thank you for being here today. Thank you for helping me finish this round of edits, and I really appreciate it. I will still be live streaming this Wednesday where I'm going to be working on Phoenix edits now, instead of Burke edits. And I hope if you can join me, that I'll see you then. And as always, keep reading, keep writing, and until next time.